Welcome back to Impact Show. I'm here at the amazing venue of Al Baca's, La Vida Vital. And this guy is a jeweler impresario. So if you think I'm good at marketing, wait till you hear his story. I absolutely love asset classes, right? We think about stocks, we think about bonds, we think about real estate. Where do we put our money? Well, has anyone thought of jewelry? Because it goes up in value. I remember when I got a little bit successful, I stashed away some cash and I bought myself a Rolex. And lo and behold, that watch is now worth 3 times what I paid. And I didn't even know this until I heard about its scarcity, because scarcity drives up value. So at Impact Show, we like to break and take the myths of industry and dissect it with leading authorities in that space. We've covered everything from cosmetic dentistry, John Marashi, to some of the greatest things like digital currency, and now we're talking about jewelry. So Al and I have worked together for 20 years, and we actually met because you were my next door neighbor. And one day when we were taking out the trash, it was one of those conversations like, what do you do? And so he is really the best at this, and I can't wait to get to some of my questions, and that's what this Impact Show series is all about. So Al, I know you very well, but maybe you could tell our audience a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the intro. Well, my background is now, after school, after taking some trade school, decided to get in this industry, 37 years ago. Mm-hmm. And what I love about the industry is that it's always changing, always revolving, and I always call myself a student of the business because it is always changing, and you have to change with it.
Sure.
But I love it. You love what you do. If you know what you do, you feel like you never work a day in your life.
Right.
So, again, starting with in the 80s was primarily gemstones, color stones, fine precious stones. We used to cut them and supply large manufacturers in the industry. And then we did that for a number of years. I was actually the leader, the top salesperson here on the West Coast for that. People known that of me that specialize in color stones. They reach out for, want to find color stones, call Al. So after working with that company for a number of years, decided to go on my own, branch out on my own with actually my mentor. He started his own business, asked me to partner up with him, and we did that. Again, starting with color stones, precious stones, got into diamonds, and then actually got into jewelry design. Because my client says, okay, I like the stones, but can you make this, make that out of it? So I took that on, just started, always been very artistic. I love, always like, drawings. I actually went awards going way back when. Anyhow, and that's how I got into the design aspect in terms of this industry. Started creating jewelries for my wholesalers, then got into retail accounts, started manufacturing for them. And fast forward, 27 years, been doing it ever since, and again, just love it.
So Al, you mentioned wholesale and retail. The Internet Marketing Association, we have thousands of people watching this. Some are in the business to business, which would be wholesale for your business, and some are business consumer, which would be retail in your business. Tell us a little bit about how you're successful in both, and how much of your business is wholesale versus retail?
Great question. Wholesale I've always been in. I've been in it from day one till now, and it actually still today represents 70% of my business. Mm-hmm. What that looks like is that we actually work with really high-end retail stores across the country, even the Caribbean islands, Alaska, tourist destinations.
Right.
Before, we used to follow some cruise ships before COVID, and we've been very, very successful. My whole career doing that.
Right.
Again, making jewelry for their needs, filling up their showcases for what they need for
Sure.
for those particular markets. Even online companies, we manufacture for them. They have online presence in a large volume. Some of these companies, of course, we have NDAs, can't mention their names,
Sure.
what they are, but it represents a big part of what we do here.
Right.
We actually have grown now, here, moving to Irvine now 4 years ago. We used to do everything in LA.
Right.
In LA for 30 years.
Right.
Decided to, I'm tired of LA, tired of the commute, we live in Orange County.
Sure.
So I said, okay, let's start everything here in Orange County, bring it to Orange County.
Right.
For the commute, started in a smaller production facility. We outgrown that.
Right.
And actually, God's blessings, we're the largest manufacturer in all of Orange County and San Diego County.
That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And one of the things Al mentioned is follow your customer. So you said like the cruise ships and where they would go, their destinations, and you would be there to actually provide that for them.
Yeah.
I think that's a lesson for our audience, is to really think about who is your client and where are they. He had a built-in economy on a cruise ship, so there's usually like 3,000 passengers. And so if you're there providing the best-in-class jewelry, clearly there's an inventory of clients that are gonna always be buying from that. But since then you've expanded. I've noticed your marketing is kind of stealth, right? So there's the flashy jewelry companies that we all know, those household names. But how has La Vida Vital broken into this incredible success by keeping sort of conservative with your marketing? What's the culture behind that?
Well, one of the keys for our success is and I always say that. I mean, you're only as strong as the people behind you.
Right.
Also, by the blessings of God, I have built and assembled such an amazing team behind me who handles everything from marketing to help design, prototypes, dealing with clients. So I do have a great team behind me. Also your clients. Mm-hmm. Number one important thing is your clients.
Right.
My relationships go back with a lot of my clients 20 plus years.
Wow.
They are my close friends, like yourself.
Sure.
And I find from generation to generation, we're servicing their jewelry needs, from wedding rings to anniversaries, engagement, whatever the case may be, we're servicing needs.
So go back to the very fundamental root of when you started this whole thing.
Yeah.
What brought you into the jewelry industry? I mean, do you just wake up one day and say, I want to be a jeweler? Like what culturally took you into this industry at the very, very root?
At the very, very beginning, again, right out of high school, close family friend. He was a second generation jeweler. Mm-hmm. I was getting ready to start college, and he says, you know what, I'm working with this company. I know you're getting ready to start college, but I think you should really look into this industry. It's my family business. I think you'd be really good at it.
Sure.
They have a position open. I can get you an interview. What do you think?
How old were you back then?
I was 18 years old.
18, okay.
18 years old.
Right.
So after a series of interviews, background checks, lie detector tests, way back then, I started to just basically, deliveries, shipping room, and then from then trade school and things, and then run the different departments for that company.
What was the main inflection point from having that moment when you were 18, you got into this and building this massive enterprise? Like, how did you become so good at what you were, and not just successful, but actually becoming significant to where you actually built almost like an industry to yourself? What was the inflection point that got you over that hump?
Well, I think people read people, and I've always been really good at that. But you have to be, really honest. You have to be very genuine.
Sure.
And I always tell people in this industry, if you lose trust, you're done.
Right.
You're done. So you have to be always authentic, full transparency, and always honest, genuine with your customer.
100%.
Yeah. So,
and that was a key variable to that lasting, significant relationships.
Yeah, I mean, they see it. The customers see it. Whether it's a wholesale client or a retail client, they can see if you're authentic, genuine, or just, blowing smoke.
Right.
So, and it is key.
So think about that. You're all having your own businesses or you work for a company. Trust and integrity is so important. Keeping to the fact of what you do and being consistent with that will pay off huge dividends. Trust is a big part of our business too, as a PR company. So whether you're creating jewelry for somebody or you're creating a message for their brand, that trust is so important. So think about how trust plays into your business. And now look at this multinational business that Al has built, and his inflection point was really that truth and integrity. And that's so important in business and in life. So let's talk a little bit about jewelry, right? I mean, you've got such an array of things, right? The default is engagement ring diamond. How has jewelry changed over the decades, okay? I just remember as a child, my mom's diamond ring, and it was this proud jewel in our home. And growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way until my mom passed away, that diamond ring was such a special thing in our family. So can you talk a little bit about how jewelry has changed over the decades, and what are the trends right now in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, trends, like you said, always changing. Fashion's always changing. In terms of like bridal, for example, before everyone think, okay, I got to get a diamond for an engagement ring. That's not true anymore. A lot of people, they want a precious stone, like your grandmother, a ruby,
Right, right.
or a sapphire, or fine colored stones. So we're diversifying what the client actually needs are, and they're more accepting of that. Okay, well, great, I can have a sapphire. I always loved sapphire. I can have that for my engagement ring. So we're doing a lot of that for customers, and also what's happening now in our industry, and there's always been an issue and a problem with companies producing synthetics, the stones that are not natural. So if you're investing in a large piece, usually any young couple, it's a big investment, that a wedding ring or the engagement ring.
Sure.
Always buy a stone or a diamond, whether it's a precious stone or a diamond, make sure it's certified. And it's certified by a reputable lab. We always recommend GIA, which is the #1 in the country for certifying stones.
Okay.
So there's no question what you're buying, what the certificate says.
And that goes for anything, ruby or diamond?
Ruby or diamond,
okay.
Yes. If it's a large amount, if it's under $2,000, okay, maybe it's not that important.
Sure.
But when you're getting $5, $10, $20, $30, $50,000, definitely you want that paper.
So it's very important, if you get any sort of jewelry, make sure you have that certified, and also get an appraisal for it, because maybe in 5 years that jewelry actually goes up in value. You and I were speaking a little bit about that, because if you eventually have a collection of jewelry, either for your spouse or for yourself, it's important to take inventory for your insurance. Al, what would you say is the best practices to getting an appraisal? So, God forbid, your house gets broken into, your jewelry, you get robbed. How are you able to present to your insurance proof of the authenticity of it and its value? Can you share that with our audience?
Yeah, if you have a collection of jewelry, and everyone knows how much they spend for their pieces, or sometimes I've seen many cases where they get an inheritance. They get passed down a collection of jewelry their mother had or great mother had. I would highly recommend to get it all appraised for that purpose, for insurance purposes. You can bring it in here. We do that actually. We'll take photography of all the pieces. We will genuine authenticate what the stones are, how much the value is, and what is the replacement insurance value for those pieces. So that's a service that we offer.
Awesome.
So I highly recommend that, because if there is a theft or a fire or something and you have no paperwork,
right.
Yeah, you're fighting with the insurance company to say, I had this, I had that, it's worth this, worth that.
And it's very easy for an insurance company to dispute if you don't have that record. It's really important to have that kind of relationship with a company like Al. Al is my jeweler. So when he created my wife's engagement ring, he's able to take a photo of that, certify it, and tell me its current appraised value. It's like any other asset that you have. If you're in the stock market, you're able to log in and know exactly the value in real time. But when it comes to fine metals and jewelry, those are things that you really have to take under consideration, because it is a physical, tangible, and you need to have someone appraise that. And I can't think of anyone more reputable than yourself to actually doing that. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the myth of diamonds, okay? Because, when I got Kai's engagement ring 14 years ago, you taught me about color, cut, and clarity. And right. I have told that story to so many people that now work with you. And can you take us a little bit about how GIA and how your industry really gets into the 4 C's of a diamond? I think we have a chart here too. Maybe you could take us through that.
Sure, happy to. Again, when we're selling jewelry or selling diamonds, we only sell stones that are graded through GIA. Again, they're the #1 rated company in this country, and actually even the world. And again, people that don't have any knowledge about jewelry or diamonds, we use this chart. It comes from GIA, and it has actually those things that we just discussed. Color, clarity, cut, and even size. So those 4 C's, we will actually go through this step-by-step process on how they grade a diamond through GIA, and also tell them why is it priced at it is versus something that's the same size, but higher color, higher clarity, or even better cut.
Right.
So we explain that to them. And also, we always try to work within someone's budget or price range, comfort zone. So, they might have something in mind, but they have a certain budget.
Right.
So I say, okay, well, we can certainly do this or that to stay within your budget.
Right.
And being a wholesale manufacturer, we can, match, in most cases, beat anyone's price in the industry. We do everything from casting, setting, polishing. I mean, diamonds in general are mined primarily in Africa.
Okay.
Okay, that's primarily where the ground is very rich of precious stones and even precious metals.
Okay.
That's where the large mines, De Beers, they have several facilities there in Africa. And not to say you don't find it in other continents, you do, but primarily that's still the richest part. There's also Brazil, is good. Some places in Asia, also you're finding precious stones mainly. A lot of them come from Asia.
So take us through that process. When they're mining, are they just digging down into the depths of the earth to find these precious stones?
Yeah, there's testing involved, before they even attack or, they buy a site, they'll do testing to see if that ground is rich and because a lot of costs in mining, obviously. If, just the equipment and mining, the time, the labor, the gas. So they got to do their, homework,
right.
Study all the data from the test, the drilling, and see if it's really going to, pay out for the investment.
Right.
But it's always the miners, the miner's dream is always to hit that one vein,
right.
That one pocket that's going to pay off.
And when they hit that pocket, is it just this massive rock that's like a 100-carat diamond that they then chisel down into these smaller diamonds? Like, take us through that.
Yeah, in color stones, it's a little bit different. Yeah, they'll find, even diamonds, gold, they'll find a vein, that this has happened, billions of years ago because of the pressures of the earth, and they created, this vein of crystals,
right.
Which is, diamonds. So once they hit that pocket, then they try to follow that vein, wherever direction it's going.
Right.
But that's what they're looking for.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so why has a diamond been timeless for so many generations, where it didn't shift to like a ruby or into like a gold or something? Like, a diamond is still kind of the holy grail of whatever it may be that you're celebrating or you're getting married. I mean, the diamond is sort of the holy grail stone. How come that has survived generation by generation? What are your thoughts on that?
Marketing.
Okay.
Marketing. De Beers, they do a fabulous job, always, pushing, promoting diamonds. They even control, 90% of the production coming out of raw mining diamonds. They pretty much control it, and also pricing it. I mean, they will hold reserves to, jack up prices.
Right.
One of the things they're having issues right now is with lab-grown diamonds. Lab-grown diamonds first came out, I'd say about 8 years ago. People were playing with it, having this little factories, not even factories, but small machinery that could create the same type of compressions that you do in the earth,
right.
in a vacuum engineered machine, and grow these crystals. Synthetics has always been around,
right.
Whether it's color stones or diamonds, but companies are playing around with it, and they say, oh, it's just a fade, it's going to pass, it's not going to work. Well, now today, it's a big market for lab-grown diamonds.
And how big would you say in like the global diamond market is lab-grown diamonds? Would you say it's 10% market?
That's a good question. I would say it's more than that, 10%.
Oh, wow.
And it's mainly happening to the younger generation. These millennials or Gen X, I think, right?
Yeah.
They don't really see the value in spending,
what's the
$10,000,
$20,000. What's the price differential?
It's less than half.
Less than half.
Yeah.
So okay,
in most cases.
Interesting.
In a natural diamond versus.
Well, aren't the De Beers and those big 800-pound gorillas like trying to counter lobby that movement?
They have something in play that they said, okay, this is not going to last. And you kind of have to follow what De Beers are. They're the leaders in the industry.
How could it not last if it's something that's being created in a lab that has infinite
the thing is because
potential?
the prices keep dropping.
Right.
And I always tell people, okay, if you're going to buy a lab-grown diamond, which we do provide if a customer wants it. I'm not going to say no to a friend or referral because they saw these lab growns, they want to go with it. They don't want to spend $10,000 a ring. They have a budget of $2,500. I said, okay, we can get you a lab grown diamond. They're certified. It's a lab grown. But what I tell friends or family is that price, it's not going to hold its value.
Right.
On a natural diamond, gold, any precious metal, they hold their value and they're always going up. The lab-grown diamonds are always continuing to go down.
And you can detect whether or not a diamond's lab-grown or authentic?
Yeah, right now they're even certified.
Okay.
They're even certified in labs. So
Okay.
they even have a.
I think that's going to help the industry of the authentic rock, because if it's certified as a lab grown, then the authenticity of its value will always be locked there.
Yep.
And think about your industry. There's always going to be a disruption, right? Look at what's happening with electric transportation. So one of our partners, as you know, is Electrify Expo. Just got off the phone with BJ Birtwell, their founder. He created the world's largest e-mobility show. And very similarly, the market just starts to grow when there's disruption. So we had fossil fuels and petroleum and all this, but now we have electric cars. And so many of my friends are getting all electric, not hybrids. And gas prices continue to go up. So there's a flux going on in every market. And what Al has just taken us through is the lab grown versus the authentic original stone rock diamond. And think about your industry, because there's probably going to be someone that's creating the lab grown diamond version of what you're doing. So try to be proactive and ahead of that from a marketing standpoint. Now let's compare lab grown original rock to cubic zirconia. What's the difference between the lab grown and the cubics?
Well, see, a lab-grown diamond, it has the same properties of a natural stone.
Right.
So of a natural diamond.
Right.
So even if you have diamond, old generic diamond testers, you test it, it's going to show as a natural diamond.
Right.
It even looks just like a natural diamond.
Okay.
Same properties. I mean, 10 on the Moss scale, the brilliance, the cut, because it's pressurized in the machine.
Right.
Versus Mother Nature giving us a natural stone.
Right. Right.
But again, the stability of that market, it's not stable. Prices keep dropping since it came out. But a lot of companies are doing it, and a lot of companies are selling large volume of it. But again, more sophisticated equipment, you can tell whether it's a lab grown or natural stone.
So tell us a little bit, without being able to give a guaranteed forecast, if I were to buy an original diamond right now, a 5 carat diamond, looking at the color range, the clarity, the cut, the carat weight, do you see in the next 10 years that 5 carat diamond is going to grow in value?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
So it's a good investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Actually, we have one here.
Show us.
Speaking of 5 carat, we just finished this one yesterday.
Okay, beautiful.
This is a VS2.
Okay.
This is a lower color. I think it's like an eye color.
Okay.
But this has a value probably today on the wholesale end of it. You're probably looking right around $70,000.
Wow.
But fast forward 5 years, I'm sure it increased in value at least 20%.
So this diamond right here is the main stone.
Correct.
And you're giving it an eye color. The eye color is actually near colorless.
Correct.
So the more color I see in the diamond by my naked eye, the less its value.
Right. You go lower in scale, the lower, the price point changes.
At what area is it more the faint or the very light that you can actually start picking it up with your eye?
That's a good question. The customers, always tell them, try to stay, if you're buying a nice diamond, try to stay within GH if that fits within your budget. Mm-hmm. An eye color, depending on the crystal, like this stone, as it's mounted, it still looks a white stone. Mm-hmm. It still looks white.
Right, yeah.
So sometimes you can get away, put it on a white setting, this happens to be platinum.
Sure.
It still appears to be white.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing that I just look at impartially is the fact that a diamond, a stone, it's so brilliant, it's so colorful, it's so exciting. And regardless of what De Beers does from a marketing standpoint, I think part of its timeless nature as a stone is that it just gives you so much entertainment. Then if you look at a ruby or another precious metal, it just isn't as exciting as a diamond. A diamond is doing a lot when you're looking at it, especially the bigger it gets.
Everyone wants diamonds.
So there's something about the diamond that I think is going to last for a very, very long time.
Well, it is truly the most brilliant stone out there.
Right.
Nothing is more brilliant than a diamond.
And looking at the placement of this, can you talk a little bit about how the diamond is held and how it can, we've had the ring for almost 20 years, okay? And there's never dropped out or any sort of thing. How does the clamping work and hold that diamond in place? Yeah. Is it like a glue structure or cement? Like, how do you guys do that?
Well, every piece that we make, we always start with the stone, okay? Any customer that comes in and wants an engagement ring, something custom made, we always start with the stone. Once we, gather what they want, and it's, I will also teach them, guide them, and, instruct them what's good, what's bad, what to look for. So once we have that in play. They pick the stone they want. Then we will customize the design around that stone. So it fits like a glove.
Right.
So the diamond is made by CAD. My son, also, he's here, he works with me.
Yeah, great guy.
Take over this business someday.
Right.
He does all our CAD work.
Great.
So he will also sit in with the client, see what they want in terms of design, and he will create the design around the stone.
Sure.
In terms of holding the stone, it's a basket that actually holds the stone, and the prongs that you actually claw into it, they're actually notched. For example, if this is your prong that's holding the stone, we actually put like a V notch on it.
Okay,
so
got it.
The girdle, which is the edge of the stone, fits in there like a glove, and then we close it, and it won't move.
So one more question.
Sure.
So look at this. You have diamonds all the way around.
Yes.
What happens if my finger gets big over time? How do you adjust something like that?
Yeah, again, it's metal, so metal can be resized. You can, if your finger has changed, usually in most cases it's gotten a bit larger, we can still open up that setting, resize it, add more metal to it to accommodate.
So resizing is not an issue.
Not a big deal.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
So obviously we're an internet marketing organization, and I can't think of an industry that has more marketing power than the jewelry industry. You think of the big names, right? Yeah. Cartier, Harry Winston, Tiffany. The marketing dollars that these companies are throwing out there to get people in their storefronts, it's incredible. Yep. And why do you think jewelry is at that highest crescendo of marketing spend to get people foot traffic? Does it really work? And is there a saturation point where it's just wasted money?
Well, it does work, obviously, because those companies that you mentioned, Cartier, Harry Winston, and others, they are our leaders in our industry, and they do it very, very well.
Right.
Tiffany, they market it very, very well. But what it really comes down to, a diamond is a diamond.
Right.
Whether it's a Harry Winston's name on it, whether it's Cartier's name on it, whether it's Tiffany's name on it,
sure.
A diamond is a diamond.
Right.
So, granted, okay, they have beautiful designs, but if you take a manufacturer who, one like ourselves, who has a lot of experience with high-end jewelry,
yes,
you can create something without one of those names for a fraction of the price what they would charge.
Right.
Because, like any label, okay, granted, it's Harry Winston, it's Tiffany, but you can create something beautiful, same quality in terms of the diamond, the quality of the stones that they use.
Right.
And create it with something like that.
It just, to me, like, I try to think that I'm a savvy investor, be it in whatever I'm getting involved in. It just baffles me that people will spend a crazy multiple just for packaging at the end of the day. If a diamond is a diamond, which I completely agree with you, and that's why I work with you, why is there such a huge consumer base that's willing to just pay the multiple for a box, a turquoise box?
Yeah.
Is there some psychology that goes into that people just fall for?
Again, marketing. Whether it's a handbag, Gucci,
right,
or Louis Vuitton,
sure,
they can get something that looks close.
But you're not carrying around a Tiffany box with you. You're putting a ring on your finger.
Yeah, but it's still very expensive. Like,
right,
a ring like this, a diamond is $70,000.
Right.
You go in Tiffany, same quality, same clarity, you're probably spending $30,000 more.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I hope you're hearing that.
Yeah.
And that's why I work with Al, and everyone in my network works with Al, and I will put everything behind this organization, because it's not that these other companies are charging this multiple, but at the end of the day, you just want the best all-around value. It doesn't matter what it is, whether your food, what you sleep on, your jewelry, you want the best value. And it's very interesting that marketing has that much power that people are willing to just throw 30% away. And I think 30% is conservative, respectfully, because I see what they charge, especially when you get around the holidays and such. There's this multiplier effect of that sort of last minute impulse buying and such that I just feel like it's just like a never ending fishing expedition for these companies. But it's super fascinating when you go in these malls or these boutiques and you see these like incredible stores and every single detail is so over the top. That's where that 30% is probably going. But that being said, Al, as we sort of like round up this interview, one of the things about the Impact Show and why I started it is because of my struggles in entrepreneurship, okay? To build something that's sustainable and making an impact on people's lives, you have to go through hardship. And I've certainly gone through mine. actual like hard times to get to a much better time. In your mind, how did you fight through those really tough times in the development of your business? What was keeping you going when it felt lonely, dark, impossible?
Great question. When you go through hard times, I always share that with people. When you go through hard times, it helps build character.
Yeah.
It helps build character. But you don't give up. You don't give up.
Right.
Okay, the market changes, things happen in the economy, recessions, and I've been through all those. Recessions, 9/11, COVID. You just have to pivot.
Yeah.
You have to pivot.
Right.
So what worked well for a certain period of time is not going to work well today.
Right.
So whether it's fashion, whether it's your client base, whether it's your customers, you just have to pivot to see what works. And I can't say it's just one thing.
Right.
But the point is, you work hard, the fruits of your labor will pay off. You just don't give up. And you be genuine, you be authentic, you be honest, and people will always also support you. They will always follow you.
100%.
So I wouldn't be anywhere without my customers.
Awesome. Well, you can always be guaranteed that I'll back you, and I know you'll always be there for me.
Yeah.
And think about what Al said. So when you hit those hardships in the growth of your business and the development of your enterprise, you will have them. Think about pivoting and be proactive. If you see a high risk that's coming up, either market conditions or something you're doing with your business, think about the pivot before you're actually in that hardship. And that is something that I think a lot of people can learn from. And as a last piece of advice, you've got an incredible brand here with your business. And what are some of the marketing techniques you use to keep your clients coming back and learning about you for the first time? Is it really just 100% word of mouth, or do you actually do some sort of marketing for La Vida Vital?
Yeah, it really, 90% of it is just word of mouth.
Okay.
It really, and it always has been. I'm not, again, I'll say I'm not that great at marketing, but people that they know us, they say, oh, you got to go to Al.
Right.
You got to go see Austin, his son.
Right.
You got to go to that company. And that's how we build it. That's how we're growing it. It's all been done organically, but I'm open to that. That's why I know you. We've done some things together in the past. So I'm not saying I'm not a fan of it, but we've been blessed that we've been doing it organically and kind of word of mouth.
So trust is really important,
Yeah.
pivoting in hardship, and word of mouth.
Yeah.
Your reputation will carry you into a multinational enterprise like Al's. We're very excited to share Al's genius with you, and he's a resource to everyone in the Internet Marketing Association. We're sharing his contact information here. This is now our 33rd Impact Show. We have a whole schedule lined up, coming fresh out of Las Vegas with our most successful Impact conference with 127,000 pre-registered attendees, and we already have 33,000 views on our YouTube channel. So we're so excited to see where all this is going. And part of the success of Impact is really our association with people like you. I'm just an orchestra conductor, and you are so good at what you do, and you inspire people, and I'm excited to share your story with the world. So Al, thank you so much for your time and being here.
Always a pleasure,
You're
man.
truly family to us, and continued success to all of you, and we'll be back at you with our next Impact Show. Thank you.
This has been a Santa Fe